You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready? Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right. Good afternoon, good night, goodbye, good evening, good day, good morning, hello, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along. I must admit, I do feel a little bit like a Norwich City cast-off in this outfit, but look, it arrived today, so I thought, why not put it on? How are you doing? Well, I've got to be honest with you. I know we won, but I'm a tad peed off. If they could have just stopped that second goal going in, I would have got 3 points in the prediction league. You know, Leicester, you can never trust them. You can never trust them. But look, I've got to let you know, Monday night, obviously, we're going to have the match. So there's going to be no debate show. And then you've got Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and New Year's Day for the following 2 Mondays. Best thing to do is do what it says there below, which is subscribe. Click that notification bell. And then you will never miss a show because the shows are literally going to be all over the place. So that's the best thing to do. But welcome along. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening via your favourite podcast platform. This one is for Bradley. He did not want to miss out on doing a review show because, as it said right at the start, it looks like we've got a plan B. More of that to come, I'm sure, from Brad. And as I say, it is the review show. Good afternoon, sir. I nearly said evening then. I managed to control myself.
It's all right. Good afternoon, good evening, good day, goodbye, and all that jazz. How are you doing, mate?
Welcome to part 1 of the show.
I know. Can't wait for part 2. Stay tuned for that advert break we're going to do because Chris is just padding the view count, folks. That's why he did it. He's just told me backstage it was all part of his Christmas ruse to get more people, lovely people like you in watching, and it worked a treat for him. It was a good game to have 2 parts to, weren't it? Shame it cost you 2 points in the predictions league and helped me keep getting more and more and more and more.
All right, you still gloat when you've taken.
I'm too smug. That's why I'm off camera, mate. It's not the camera issues. I'm just so smug. I don't think YouTube it'd break YouTube violations being this smug.
Would it? You are doing a Jeremy Clarkson, are you?
I most certainly am.
It's so difficult not to look smug at this point.
What can I say?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've topped it. I'm still topping the total every other challenge, but a whopping 21 points and 4 correct results from me. So no, my luck. Doug's got 8 correct results, and that's all he's done, and he's still got more points than me. But still, I'll take it. I will take it as it is, mate.
I don't know what you've got because I've thrown my notepad away because it was full. So I'm on a new notepad here. So
he's thrown it away for the shame of how he had a miserable Wednesday, didn't you, Chris? You had a miserable Wednesday.
Look, mate, I can dig it out the rubbish because I know what your mathematics are like. But look,
that is very true.
Look at that there at the top there. we have a plan B. 3 points is 3 points. All right. So it would have been nice for me to get 3 points in the prediction league, but a win is a win. And I've got to say, it wasn't so long ago when we would have conceded an equaliser.
No, very true. I mean, last season we'd have been going, oh God, 3-1, 3-2, here comes the comeback, they're going to win this 4-3. We were doing that badly. In fact, we'd have probably still been in a state of shock that we scored 3 goals in one game, because we went through a spell last season where I think we had one shot on target over course of 2.5 games or something like that. So it's a refreshing sight to see. And I said it last night, Chris. How many hoodoos have we had break on us and it's felt unfortunate? We had our first defeat, it was to Hull. Our first away loss was first points dropped away was at Middlesbrough, and then Sheffield was the first draw of the season. We finally conceded 2 goals, Chris. The first time we've done it all season, and we win. So we got a great result all round in the end.
We did, and look, there it is, 3-2 up in the top there. Very, very quickly, and again, my notes are on my old pad. I've had the cleaner in today. How posh is that? I've got the cleaner. She's come in today. And she's emptied my bins. That's not a euphemism for anything else. Before anybody says that it is, went 1-0 down. I was disappointed, because I do feel like we're going to win every game 5 or 6-0. But we went a goal down after 10 minutes, and that up until the last 4 or 5 minutes of injury time, that was as much as the last time I think that Millwall had been on top.
Yeah, it was, and to be fair to them, I mean, you know me, Chris. Every video available, I go and watch it. I listen to Enzo, his match thing, and to be fair to them. Again, a moment where Leicester didn't blink, because even he admitted they'd planned for Millwall to be hungry and aggressive the way they had been recently under this manager, who, if you're talking having bad manager bounces, he's definitely one of them. He won his opening game with Sheffield Wednesday and lost 4, now 5 on the trot. So I think Millwall's passive style really caught Leicester off guard for a little bit, and that's what incurred the change. Because you're right, Chris, for them 10-15 minutes, whilst no team was really doing anything, you would say Millwall probably just about deserved to get the noses in front at that point.
Yes, I think they did. We weren't that good in those first 10 minutes. Is your camera working, by the way, mate? Or
I'm just on settings. I'm just about to give it a test. I'm hoping it's going to come on in a few minutes. I'm just getting it. So just getting myself sat.
And then I thought from sort of about the 20-25 minute mark. Hello, there he is. Bloody hell, Kate, you're looking rough.
That's mean to Kate. Don't degrade her like that.
But from about the 25th minute onwards, I kind of thought we were on top in that second and that first half. And then, all right, half time came along. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Wow. We did what we did against Plymouth. And we usually us conceding, isn't it, just after half time?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a trend this season. But yeah, it was good to see. Like I said, it took them a couple of minutes to kind of figure it out. And then once they kind of sussed out, okay, Millwall aren't going to be a side that go at us like they have done every other team. We adjusted, and we'll talk more about it in depth when it comes to my part of the show. The tactical analysis genius, the entrepreneuring tactical magician that I am, will explain it as best I can. But that really, really made a difference. And I think without changing the shape, Enzo got that emphasis on board late in the second half. The shape change really came in that halftime interval. And the blitz effect was richly rewarded off it. But in that last 20-odd minutes, 25 minutes of the second half, if you will, we did manage to be a bit more attack in front and kind of showed like almost a trailer to what was coming from Millwall. And then they did not heed the warning. And I agree with what Kate said last night as she joined us at the post-match. 3-2 does really flatter them, especially now I've seen more extended highlights from both Leicester EFL, and even the Millwall one or two that admitted the scoreline flattered them. So I'm very happy with the performance.
I had a Millwall fan in last night, and I banned him because he was coming on saying, "Oh, you couldn't score in a ladies of the night hotel." That said, that's where you'll find most Millwall fans. We won't find them in Millwall because the women are so ugly down there. But I wish I hadn't thrown him out because we absolutely pulverised them. I mean, look, Big Yannick, Great Dane. I mean, he was at fault possibly. Well, he wasn't at fault for the first goal, but his attempted Ronaldinho type pass across the field caused the problem in the first place. It just got worse after that. But he made up for that at the start of the second half with an absolutely amazing goal.
Yeah, I mean, his shirt takes more credit than he does. But hey, he got himself in the right area. He scored it. Justice for him was given there in the sense that it was originally an own goal, but BBC and then eventually LCFC corrected it. It was his final touch. It was going goalwards, which does debate whether the third goal we'll get onto is Ricardo's or Wilf's. But
I was going to ask that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll give you my answer when we get there. But yeah, it got us off to the perfect start. I mean, to be fair, we've said this about Hamadson passing it straight into Winks or Ricardo, and then them getting muddled off the ball, or Hamadson potentially being so far out. Eventually, he's going to get beaten by a beautiful chip ball over the top of him. Vestergaard's been playing them passes all season and they've looked glorious, but you always get the feel if he got one wrong or didn't get enough on it like he didn't against Millwall, it could potentially cost us. And to be honest with you, the ball in the box deserves more credit than it's getting. It's a fantastic ball. He's in between the two defenders and he rises inch perfectly to meet the ball. There's not a lot anyone can do to stop that going in the back of the net, I'm afraid.
This is Bradford.
So I do think... Pardon?
You mean Bradshaw's goal for Millwall?
Yeah, the goal that came from Vestergaard's clearance. So whilst you could say, oh, his clearance led to the goal, you've got to give credit to the cross and the finish. It's a deft header and it's a good finish.
More mad if we'd have lost 1-0 and that was the goal.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course we would have.
Look, second half, we came out all guns blazing. We could say hi to Nassim TV. It's been a while, mate. How are you? Nate's in. Good morning to you, Nate, because it was probably his morning over there in the good old US of A. Troops is in, hello. And the Bronze Plumber, typical bloody plumber, late as always. I've been waiting 2 weeks for you, Bronzy. Where have you been? You know what plumbers are like. Anyway, joking, Bronzy, joking. Welcome back. Vestergaard, look. Okay, it wasn't. I mean, to be honest with you, neither of his goals have been going to be up for goal of the season. Let's be honest. But
no, they don't need to.
No, exactly. And he's over 6 foot, 6'7", is it something like that? What you've got to do is put him in the box and let him cause hassle, and mistakes will happen. And basically, that's what he did.
Yeah, we've had a few over our times. I'm going to say the least memorable first and save the better to last. But to make comparisons to how he muscles himself in the box and uses his height to his advantage, Johnny Evans. Yeah, that's why I said his name first. Get it out of the way. Yeah. Maguire. Yeah. Huth was the more notable, and I would include Wes Morgan in there. Because in the Championship and in that one particular season, he got a few headed goals. But Hoof was more than Morgan. I think Hoof is the best comparison to make because he's just a menace. He doesn't, he's a centre-back. Am I wanting him to score a half volley on the edge of the box? No, I couldn't give a rat's arse unless it's Christian Fuchs, and I'll probably expect it from him. But, you know what I mean? Like, centre-backs, Matt Elliott, Walsh, that's where they earn their extra, don't they? They do the job at the back well, and if they can chip him with a few goals throughout the season, happy days. I don't care if it comes off his left butt cheek, to be honest with you. If he gets on the score sheet, he's in the right place to get contact on the ball.
Talking about coming off your left butt cheek, none of the goals were sort of classics, really, were the top corner bullet, not touching anybody going in. Dacker's, I think, came off his left bollock, well, probably his stomach, in fairness, but I don't think he could decide And I've looked at it many times. I don't think does he head it? Does he kick it? I don't think he knows what to do. And he says, I'm just going to body it in. I'll put my body through it and take it into the goal. Who cares?
Yeah, and again, it's actually smart by Daka because some people might have been going in diving header and they could have got it. He could have got it all wrong. He could have been worried and tried to stretch a lace at it. He could have smacked it against the bar, and he again quality that the praise I give. I gave to the Millwall goal for their crossing. That was a beautifully weighted cross by Ndidi. Too much on it for the keeper. Too much height on it. Perfectly put in a position, and Daka just does the most natural thing anyone has to do. He knows it's going to go past him if he doesn't get something on it. So why don't I just throw myself at it and it's going to go in? You know, whether it's his foot. Goals don't have to always be pinpoint top corner finishes or shots from 30 yards out. As long as it hits you and the ball ends up going in the net and you've not used your arm to do so, I don't care. I mean, Daka won't care. His somersault celebration sold out, didn't it?
Yes. No, we would be the same, wouldn't we? You know, any player claims a goal because basically...
Ask Nugent for England.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, 100%, mate. 100%. Highfields is in. Good evening. Yes, we are early because this is an extra show. We don't normally do a preview of a midweek game because basically we haven't got the time to do it. Thursday night tonight it is the preview show for Birmingham, but Brad was begging. He was on his knees in front of me, and I thought, "Oh, hello." He was begging me to do this, and I thought, well, you know, it's not for me. I can't turn the lad down. But no, it's great because Plan B has come to fruition, and Brad will be talking all about that later. So that's why we are early. And let's be honest with you, everybody can catch up on these shows anyway. I don't get this rule where, okay, so, I mean, fair play to Ricardo. He has, you know, he can strike those balls and get those sort of goals. But I think, okay, so it was on target. I don't think that should automatically, therefore, be his goal. It hit Ndidi. It took a deflection. It should be Ndidi, shouldn't it?
Well, you've seen them goals given, haven't they? Where a bloke sticks a leg out, deflects off him and goes in, and the original shot was going in anyway. So I don't understand. I mean, it's not exactly Casper Justice against Yeovil sort of goal that needs to be awarded to Ndidi, who, by the way, had a fantastic game for me. I know that's no surprise for anybody. It's nice to have 3 or 4 names in the mix for it, to be honest with you. But, you know, I think in that situation, it's like, well, it's the opposite of an own goal, isn't it? It's hit his own player. So if Wolf's not offside and he's not judged as interfering with play and the goal stands, then I think, even to be fair, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube shorts on that Leicester post up when they normally get a tunnel reaction. Wolf does ask, is it mine or Ricardo's? The guy tells him it's Ricardo's. Then when Ricardo comes down the tunnel, he goes, I think it's Wolf's. So maybe justice for Wolf will happen over the next few days. Maybe the goals league panel or whatever you want to call it, the union will get together and say, it's deflected off their own player, the goal gives. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, swings and roundabouts, potato, we got the goal, didn't we? And then 6 minutes worth of stoppage time. God knows where that came from. Leicester do what only Leicester can, concede a corner and concede a goal. And suddenly it's like, can we hold on for those 3 minutes? Because suddenly Millwall found almost like a second wind.
Well, it's like they refound the first win because, you know, I mean, okay, the second half seemed to, the first half seemed to peter out for them. They were in autopilot. They weren't really there when Leicester started to take control. And wasn't Leicester finding 3 goals. Millwall were just extras or background characters in the Leicester show, really, weren't they? I think they surprised themselves. I mean, I know the Millwall following was a bit short this year. It's almost like they're a shite club that's not doing very well. And they were readily ready to throw bricks at their own coaches in anger at the 3-1 scoreline. And then obviously when that happened, they got a goal. And I feel like the goal we conceded was the first time this season that Enzo might be a little bit annoyed. He did seem a little bit picky at it. It was the first time I think we've conceded a goal because we switched off. I think for the first time, the players got into the same mentality as we do in fans, listening to it or watching it in the stands or however, and we go, well, it's 3-1, stoppage time, game over. And then that happens and you realise, oh, no, I've still got to concentrate for another 3 or 4 minutes. And to be fair, we did. We switched back on, but it did have you going, oh, God, don't do this. Because this was the perfect result to continue that run. And I know we'll get to it later on, but we're looking better on both sets of tables that you're going to show, aren't we, Chris?
We are. And I don't want to go too much into the actual game or the tactics because I know you're going to cover that. But I've just got to say, I said this in the post-match. For me, that second half was probably the best 45 minutes I have seen us play this season.
It's definitely up there. I know we've had a few goal blitzes this season, and some have come late on because that's been traditional how Leicester do things, normally kick into gear around the 60-minute mark. Is it our best? Is it our best second half performance? Ooh. I mean, Plymouth was pretty good as well. West Brom, you could say, for how we had to really fight against a tough top team. It's up there. It's up there in the top thinking slot. I'm not sure if it's our best 45 minutes, but I can definitely see an argument for it. There's been a lot of them as well now, Chris. So
yeah, potato, isn't it? You know, but
yeah. I mean, your opinion's wrong, but
I just think there's for the opposition. You know, we didn't just get one. We just again went for it. And yes, I know we did it against Plymouth, but we weren't 1-0 down against Plymouth. But look, you'll go into it in more detail, sort of when we get to your part in the show. But as you quite rightly said, Brad, leading me on, thank you very much for the link. The tables look better, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do that, and then you can see it a little bit better because it's I've made it big. Tell you what, that Viagra does work. We're back at the top. Will Ipswich, will you stop bloody winning, please? Do us a favour, at least give us. But just remind me, didn't Leeds? Were they a little bit overconfident when they beat us? Because I believe they were coming for us.
Yeah, and I just need to correct you there, Chris. It's not Leeds United. We've had this discussion before. It's Spurs Chester United because they're still, just like Tottenham, coming for us. I mean, we've had to drop down in the division just to get away from Tottenham to keep chasing us around. It was just doing our head in. But we are... Yeah, well, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Since they've beaten us, I think they've lost 2, drawn a game, have gone further behind than they were before they played us. I mean, they're 11 points behind. I'm sure they were only 9 or 10 behind us when they played and beat us. So how's that working for you, Leeds? Yeah. I mean, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Leeds and Southampton. I mean, Southampton, they're even further away. I mean, they're 13 points off us.
We've got to say it. And it maybe hurts a little bit, but thank you, Coventry.
Yeah.
But I mean, Southampton, you kind of. I don't mind Southampton basically because it's the team where I get to actually watch my team play because it's down the road. It's like a home game for me, Southampton. But I don't mind them. But they are taking the Leicester inconsistency title this season. Southampton.
They certainly are, mate. They're making it for interesting. You know what? All joking aside, I mean, I know we've praised them before, but at least Ipswich are making it interesting for Leicester and keeping us on our toes for something. Because could you imagine at this start of the season if like Ipswich had 41 points as well? We'd be going bloody hell, 11 bloody points clear of second or third. At least Ipswich are keeping us fighting for something, aren't they? Keeping us honest.
Kate this the other day. I don't know if you were on the same show or whether it was a different show. And I said, would you prefer, and I'll give you my answer when you've given yours, but would you prefer Leicester to be 10 points clear, let's say 12 points clear even, from Ipswich, or would you, at this stage, or would you prefer us to be like 1, 2, 3 points as we are?
I think you always need an incentive in football. I know people say, "Oh, they'll get paid this amount; they should never switch off and get complacent." But you do it if you're on a roll in your job and suddenly you're bursting double numbers, and I don't know, say you're stacking more shelves than you've ever stacked in your life, and you've got a routine down and it's working for you. You keep doing it and doing it, and sometimes you might just drop that pace, and all of a sudden you do it. I think you need that, you need that motivation to keep you going. And if you said to me, look, you're going to be cruising in the Championship, yeah, I'm not going to say no to it, but I feel from the way this Leicester squad thrives off it, they need that prodding in the back going, we're still here, by the way.
Yeah.
I know if Ipswich are 11 points clear, because that means third stays their gap, but I'd rather have the gap over Leeds and Southampton and know no one can knock us out of that automatic zone.
Yes. No, I mean, for me, yes, it would be nice to have a 12-point gap, don't get me wrong, but I always remember, and I said to you the other day, I do know this, that, that when Newcastle had that lead over Man United in the famous Kevin Keegan, I love it season, because when you've got that 12-point lead, complacency sets in. You think, we've got 12 points. We've lost a game. Oh, it doesn't matter. We're still 9 points clear. We've lost another game. Well, we still got 6 points. And it then starts to get to you. You start, oh, shit, we've lost another game. And, are they catching us up? Where here, it keeps you, like you say, keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does, and you need it, and you can use that over this difficult period, because Leicester, well, like every Championship side, they've got a busy Christmas period, but they've probably got the ideal scenario happen, haven't they? Because this is like your reserve game, isn't it? This is like, if it goes wrong over Christmas, as long as we get 9 points out of 9 3 games beforehand, because Birmingham for me is probably that's teetering on the Christmas fixtures for me. I know they're all in December, but it gets a little bit mad after the Birmingham date game, doesn't it? And if Leicester can come out of that game with a win, most teams are already dropping points and needing to make up for them points over a busy period. Leicester can afford to benefit from everything they've done over the last 2 or 3 games, i.e. rotating players, giving players a second lease of life, seeing players come back from injury like Dennis Pratt could pay dividends, because we've already got these points in the bank. You're looking at Leeds and Southampton mainly, because you can't say about it because they're right on our tails, and fair play to them. But the chasing pack can't afford to slip up any more than they already have done. Whereas Leicester, not that we want them to, but if we don't get a win against Birmingham or a win against Ipswich, it's not going to be the end of the world in regards to the end goal, which is automatic promotion, because Leeds might drop another couple of points, or they're already X amount of points behind us. So it's a really good sight to be seeing, Chris, going forward.
I think the thing for me as well with all these games is, if you lose one, and let's face it, we could lose one. Ipswich could be the team, that beats us over Christmas. There's another game round the corner. You're not hanging about waiting. It's that like you've been knocked off the bike. Well, we're going to get straight back on it again. We're going to look at the form table. Now, this is on the last 4 games, because I've decided to keep this to 4 games because I can't do 5. And I just think 6 is, well, look, what happened 6 weeks ago? Does that really bear any resemblance as to what's happening now? So I thought 4 weeks. Normally, it's a month of games. So I'm going to stick to the 4 for the form table anyway. So here we are. Ipswich are top. Leicester are second. Queen's Park Rangers, good God, are third. Wow. Then Leeds, Southampton, Norwich are up there, Coventry, Watford, Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday on night. I tell you what, I had Sheffield Wednesday and QPR as 2 and 3 to go down with Rotherham. I'm not so sure now. Look, we were down at, oh my God, hold the back page. We were down in 7th in the form table at one stage. Maybe if I went back 6 games, we wouldn't be as high as that. But look, we're back where we belong. And that's good to see, because if your form is good, then you're doing well, basically. I mean, that's a Michael Owen statement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Michael. I was about to call you that then, but no, it makes sense. And again, it shows how quickly it can turn around. You look back 4 weeks previous. I think at one point through these shows, we were as down as low as 10th, and you'd have been seeing us with 2 defeats. And 2 defeats, a draw, and a win. So it would have been about 10th on the form guide. Everything was very doom and gloom. Then we woke up, realised where we were in the actual table, which is a little bit more important. But it's good to see that, again, hold on. Where are Leeds on that form table? Oh, the 4th. Where are Southampton in that form table? Oh, the 5th. So they've kind of stuttered to where they are. They're showing now that maybe that's where thereabouts are going to be come the end of the season. I know there's a few eyebrow-raising teams in there, like the mighty Sheffield Wednesday, who have failed to be unpredicted in any sense of the word, as far as it's gone from me since we drew against them. And obviously QPR being up there is a bit of a strange one, but the majority of it is what you're seeing in front of you in that league table. It transfers over.
I'm not really. I mean, it's fair play to QPR and to Sheffield Wednesday. They have turned it round, but of course they're at the other end of the table, so it's not really going to affect us. I don't think we're going to be pulled into a relegation battle this season. But look, we spoke. I was quite heated at the start of the game when they announced the team.
Were you?
Yes, I thought I hit it well, but I may have let it slip out a little bit. But we started playing better because when Justin came on, I think we'd already got.
We were 2-1 up before Justin come on. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he had to bring Justin on, and he moved Faz over to the right side. Surprise that, Enzo, as he's a right-sided player. I mean, yes, he could have got injured, but then so could any player. So could Winks have got injured, and he's playing every game. He's younger than Winks. He's younger than Cody. Why isn't he playing every game? Dewsbury Hall is.
And I just think it's a limitation in the area we've got. I know Pereira can go out there and Chowdhury can go on the right, but if we was to then lose one of them to an injury or a suspension or whatever, then we really would be in the mud. And I think he's trying to use something to kind of give us a different start to a game and a way he can do it. And maybe it's how he preempts a lower league side attacking us, because at Sheffield, I know it went wrong against Sheffield, but he didn't actually change it up. Against Millwall, he did, and we saw that change, which I'll talk about later on. But I think it's maybe him being wary against the bottom half clubs being aggressive at them because they've got nothing to lose. Whereas when Blackpool, Blackburn, West Brom and that have come in, they've kind of tiptoed around the idea of being fully aggressive at us, but kind of showing that they don't want to give us too much joy. We've battered them, but when we played against a Millwall or a Sheffield, up until a point with Millwall, obviously, we have tended to struggle. Rotherham were the same, so maybe it's just something he's employing as like a cautious start to the lineup. It's not the first time he's used that formation, is it?
No. Look, we won at the end of the day, so it would be
that's what matters as well.
Yeah. Curlish and me to sort of still have a go, and we know the thoughts on the two goalkeepers on the bench. But for me, when I look at that, Hermansen, Ricardo, Vestergaard, Faze, Ndidi, Winks, Dewsbury Hall, Fatu Mavadidi. Those are probably 9 players that's our starting lineup. That's our strongest, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're looking at that squad and you're saying that's like you could get 80 to 90% of that team predicted game in, game out, especially with the midfield and front three. Yeah, pretty much that is Leicester's strongest starting 11 on paper. May even be, actually, I'll talk about it later on, but it may even be the only person missing from the starting 11 is Justin, because 2 goals, 2 games is a great argument to make for being the strongest starting striker in this team right now.
You mean, not Justin?
Yes, yeah, I meant Justin would be the only one that you'd add back into this team.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah.
that wasn't.
That's why I left Cody out. Yes, because because Justin would be in there. Okay, I was actually going to say that I was just typing to Scott. Then I was going to save this for later. 2 goals in 2 games, and I've got to say before he got the flu, Inacho none in 6. Scott says here, would either of you be surprised to see Daka taking either Vardy or Inacho's place, as if I'm right in thinking both Nacho and Vardy out of contract at the end of the season? Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Daka has come in, and for me, he's given Enzo one hell of a headache. And he's basically said, drop me if you dare, really, hasn't he? And I've said before that all 3 strikers, and I put this up on the heat map in the last show, or the last review show. You can see how deep the strikers are coming, and that's what Enzo wants. So that's fine. They're doing what they're told, so you can't blame. You can't tell them off when they're doing what the manager wants them to do. If it was just one of them, you might say, well, "Why is he doing that?" But all 3 are doing it, so it's obviously what Enzo wants them to do. What Daka's got, which Vardy hasn't got as much as he used to, and the same with Iheanacho, is the speed to get up and fight back. So, look, it's early days. After the game against who did we play and beat the other day? Plymouth. And after this game, it's only 2 games, so let's not get too excited. We've done this in the past, haven't we? And Daka may play the next 5 and not score, and we'll be glad to say, well, why have we got him? Why have we got him? So let's wait and see. But for me, is there that urgency to go and buy a striker now that Daka's proving what he can do? To me, no.
I don't think there is over January, because you have to remember he'll be going away along with Ndidi and along with Iheanacho. You'd assume, unless for whatever reason, and Fatawu as well. So we're losing a big force in our team now. So Vardy and Tom Cannon, the only question we need now is, can Tom Cannon do the starter or the bench job that Iheanacho and Vardy had been doing, rotating between them whilst they're away? I'm hoping, and I'm sure we all are, that the answer is going to be yes, and then it's not such a worry in January. In the summer, like you said, Chris, kind of with Daka at the moment with his form, time will tell. Will Iheanacho be here? Will he have a contract with us? Will he leave us on a free? We don't know. So you can't go too far in the future and answer questions that we just know nothing about. But
it's not like we're mid-table in the Premier League and we can say, well, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. We don't know where we'll be. If we get promoted, then we'll have one plan, I'm sure. If we don't get promoted, there has to be another plan. It might be that we don't get Fatawu if we don't get promoted. But there's got to be the 2 plans, because there can't be. The finances are so different. If Iheanacho doesn't sign a contract between sorry, I forgot what I was saying. If Iheanacho doesn't sign a contract between now and the end of the season, and he goes on a free, I kind of don't mind as much, because he's still been putting the effort in, which Tielemans didn't. But if he stays with us and we go up, we'll get more money by going up than we would have done by selling him.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bit of a different situation to last season. I mean, look, yes, Iheanacho is my favourite striker at Leicester City at the moment. Not in terms of quality or level that he does. Like, obviously, Vardy will always be ahead of him for that, for what he's achieved. But I just like his tenacity, his effort on the pitch, and he's a workhorse. But if he gets us promoted, for what we... All right, wait. You just wait for Vestergaard to get man of the match. I'm talking about his goal. Should play it then. But no, for me, if he doesn't sign a contract, yes, I still would hold a bit of a gripe because same reason for Tillemans. Just sign a contract that has something in it that benefits you and benefits the club, i.e. we get some money for you at the summer and you still go. But getting us back promoted, the money we will get for regaining our Premiership status, for what we're going to sell him for, if we put a value on him realistically, it's only going to be about 10, 12 million. So if I wanted to say, I'd be more worried about losing Ndidi for free right now than I am Iheanacho.
Yeah. Scott says, could we call upon Atgun to play further forward? Look, I think Atgun's a winger, and I know Enzo's trying to make him into more of a central midfielder anyway. So let's see how that goes, first of all. But look, that's the match timeline. We pretty much sort of know how it worked out. For me, I think they were the dirtiest team we played this season.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely lived up to the name Millwall, didn't they? With the way they were shuffling about. I mean, I've seen it 4, 5 times now, and I still can't imagine how the linesman at least didn't give a penalty. And Millwall didn't get one man with the marching orders. I think the referee may have got death threats before the game off Millwall, the way he was being with his card.
I don't blame the referee because I think the referee might have been unsighted because from my angle at watching it, where the camera was, I couldn't tell if it was a penalty or not. So I'm kind of thinking I can see why sometimes the referee gets it wrong. But what was the assistant referee doing? He was on that side. He was level with them because he has to be. That's his job. What was he doing?
Yeah, that's where the question comes in. It's easy to jump down the referee's neck, but to be honest with you, like I said, I've watched the highlights and whatnot on all fronts. There's nothing the lines the referee can give really because you can't really see it, and you have to be sure that it is a foul to give that decision. But the linesman, oh dear! But it didn't matter in the end, and that's sort of what makes it a bit easy to take, isn't it? Because imagine if we'd have lost that game or drawn it, and we've been looking back at that incident in a lot more. Anguish, should I say?
I can highlight a couple of pieces there on the, and I'll just bring it up now, the match summary. And under weaknesses, I just want to go to Millwall first of all. It says exactly that there, were aggressive. And I think the number of bookings that they got, like you say, I'm surprised that they only stayed at the yellow. Good to see for 2 matches, and this is done by whoscored.com. But it's good to see that some of the matches there, last match and this match, no weaknesses for Leicester.
Yeah, it is good, because you always like to, a famous manager saying is usually we'll go back to the training ground and work on what we didn't get right. Well, if you're going off that, then Leicester didn't get much wrong, did they? So it's good. I mean, to be fair, it's not like we gave up possession a lot to Millwall. I don't realistically remember Hermansen having a save to make. I think he actually had a game where the only thing he did do, unfortunately, was pick the ball out of his net twice. But yeah, I think it was a really good game, and that just shows that the fact that a neutral website, if you will, is saying that Leicester showed no weakness.
This is it. It's a neutral website, as you say. It isn't, it isn't a pro Leicester one at all. I just put these up for sort of people to have a look at as we go through. But the next one is the goal attempts. And look, I've got to say this. I mean, none of us like Millwall, and they don't care, to be honest with you. But to me, along with Leeds, Plymouth, and possibly West Bromwich Albion, they put up a really good fight. They didn't sit back. They didn't park the bus. They came at us. 11 shots. At one point, they'd had more than us, but we had 15. Both of us had 7 on target. 8 of those 15 were actually from set pieces for Leicester. But again, I think that says more about Millwall being dirty than about, us earning them. And you can see there, conversion rate 20%. Again, it's just nice to be looking at sort of good figures, isn't it, after last season?
Yeah, well, anything's better than last season. A zombie apocalypse was sounding like a better idea than watching Leicester last season. It'd have been less painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It's good to see. Credit to Millwall, kept fighting in the end. Although it didn't sound like it played out like that. I will be honest with you. But it shows just how difficult it is to do and get anything away from Leicester. Because I think we show our extra in quality, especially in that middle to final third, because, we've come away from this game, we've won 3-2, and if you really take into the fact that their second goal came in the 92nd minute, so it wasn't like it was an end-to-end game in that sense, I think you just have to say it just shines further our quality in this division, because we've had the same amount of chances on target as us as they have, but we've scored 3 of ours. We've got like a 40 or 30 odd % conversion rate.
If I said to you that we had about 750 more passes than Millwall, would that surprise you?
No, not at all, because I can imagine that 490 of them were between Vestergaard, Faze and Madsen, and the other 300 were going forward for chances and goals.
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
899 passes for Leicester, 250 for Millwall, 20 crosses for us, 9 for them, 51 long balls, 58, short passes, 828 to 186. Total passes. Look, that I think, all right, I accept that a lot of that was between our back four. We know that. But again, it just shows, in my opinion, the domination of that end of that first half and the second half.
Yeah, it just shows our ability to not only have the ball, but be confident and controlling with it. People do get a little bit leery at it when it goes a long period of time without much end result, that we pass it around a bit, but we're not doing it for the sake of doing it. We're doing it to create. We always say, you'd rather be the team with the ball than without the ball, because if you're casually being allowed to pass it around, the opposition are running around trying to get it off you, and it becomes a game of, it feels like piggy in the middle sometimes. And Enzo wants the lads to do that. He wants them to have that split second that you need in football. And some teams give us about 10 minutes to think of the ball. I've seen Yannick Vestergaard stop, scratch his chin, and think about whether he left the oven on or not. He's had that much time on the ball sometimes. But, Chris, it's the way he wants to get this team playing in a level of confidence of the way they do it, that if they need to switch it up and just go at a team, they can do it, and they proved it in the last 2 games to deadly effect, because they've scored. Well, we've scored 7 goals in 2 games, so it's proven its effect that they've got that balance now. It seems between them to kind of just go through the gears and keep hold of it. And if you can pass teams to death, Chris, funny enough, I know we get the links and the jokes because of our manager and whatnot, but it's won Man City title after title. I know they're not having the greatest of seasons at the moment in comparison. So I still wouldn't think there's many people betting against Man City somehow still going on to win another title, because they do it.
There was a 15-minute period, I think, late in the first half, where I say 15 minutes, that's exaggerating, but I actually wrote down 30,000 passes. It wasn't quite that, but it felt like 30 passes just between the defenders. And I'm thinking, well, all right, there has to come a point where you've got to do something with the ball, because you're not going to score if you've got the ball, if you've not got the ball. But if you've got the ball and do nothing with it, you're not going to score either. But obviously, again, it came off all right. Positional report here. Again, look at the sides. It's pretty even. 40 down the left with Mavididi, 29 on the right. I mean, Fatawu had that defender in his pocket. He did have him in his pocket, but he was doing come dancing with him. He was in twinkling toeing past him. And then that's interesting, though. The shot directions, no shots from the left and only 7 from the right. I think that's because they tend to come in to have a shot, don't they?
Yeah, they're inverted. We don't just play inverted wing backs. We play inside. We play inside forwards essentially. So essentially, Leicester do play 3 up front because that's the quality and diversity we've got with Mavididi and Fatawu. They can hang out wide and bring a ball in and get to the byline and cross it into the box and put it in the mixer if Leicester have got bodies in there. And if they're getting behind, like they've done on numerous occasions throughout the season, not just against Millwall or Plymouth, but throughout a number of games this season, if them 3 get in behind, whether it's Mavididi, Fatawu, Vardy, or Iheanacho in the middle, or as it's been for the last 2 games, Daka, they just seem to have an understanding of when to get in behind and run at them and go and drive into the box, and when they need to be the supplier. And the fact that they know that and they're capable to do both aspects of that job, that's what the difference between being just an out-and-out winger is and being an inside forward. Because an inside forward's job is to support the attacking players, and if it's attacking just with Daka, they've both got to go down that middle and get into the box. And like I said, if you've got Dewsbury Hall and Winks and Ndidi up there, they can supply it from the width. So it's a great asset to have at the club, both
There's
of them.
a couple of combinations that I want to talk about, but I'm going to leave it until after you've done your bit in case you cover it during that. I don't want to take sort of, any that's what I say. That's your bit to talk about. Again, only 20% of our shots were outside the box, which is good to see. Interesting, Millwall did not have any shots from outside the box. Now, does that say more about them, or does that say that we were closing them down well?
I think it says a bit more about them because Millwall just live up to their own stereotype, don't they? They've got big, burly players that scruffy as scruff can get. They look like they'd knock you out and then have another 15 points afterwards, some of their players, don't they? But they're a bit of like that. They remind me of that Sunday League side that finishes mid-table but takes every game serious and goes in two-footed and says that he got the ball ref. You know, that kind of team that you see play on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon. Because I can't imagine Millwall looked at statistics before the game because it confuses them. Too many numbers, and they probably just went, well, we've got tall blokes, slow blokes, get them in the box, put the ball in there and hope we can cause some trouble, which, to be fair, their 2 goals did come from crosses into the box. So it kind of merited where they were having the majority of their efforts from, because I don't think they've got anybody who has it in their locker enough for them to have been shooting from the edge of the box.
No. Somebody said to me the other day, why do you show the heat maps? And I find the heat maps very, very interesting. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to get out more. But when we look at you put all our players on the heat map and all their players on the heat map, I think it shows, was this a game that we deserved to win because we put the effort in? Or is it, because you're not going to get on the heat map just for being stood in your place, you know? Or is this... it doesn't show much in heat, so therefore you've done sweet FA. And can I just say that this whoscored.com, before we go on to it, their man of the match, I just want to sort of make a point of their man of the match was in fact Yannick Vestergaard. So I just thought I'd even that out.
How much money does that put you out of pocket getting them to give him man of the match, Chris?
Look, this is the heat map anyway. Leicester on the left, being the home team that we're not in blue. I mean, by God, when you look at that, how much effort did we put in compared to Millwall?
Yeah, and we do this every week, and majority of the weeks it's worked out wonders for us. We do put a shift in, and again we've talked about it. We've heard from Kate, we've heard from Alan, when we've all give different man of the matches. You kind of get that perspective from our post matches. On part 2 of the watch alongs these days, apparently, according to Chris, didn't give me that memo that we're doing a 2-parter. But on part 2 of the watch along, you do get that because you hear every aspect of the game, whether it's been listened to, watched, or live at the stadium, or you hear just listening to Chris tell you what's going on his watch along. You just get the feeling that Leicester have players that don't just stand around with their hands down the shorts if they're not involved or on the ball. They're after everything, and we've said it a lot about certain players. It's what they do off the ball. It's what they do off the ball. It's the work we're not seeing. That's where we're winning this game, because Winks is running low like a Jawso bunny. Indeed, he's doing it. Dewsbury Hall's doing it. Vestergaard, Faze, and the fact that we're saying it collectively about all of our players just shows you how hard you have to work to win games of football. It doesn't matter the level. You have to work hard, and it shows that's the mentality they've got, to keep working hard no matter the opposition.
And let me just say that on the Leicester side, well, on both sides, the halfway line goes down the middle of our square. So half the red is in their own half. And I wanted to add to this, and Yannick, I'm going to have to mute you, I'm afraid, mate. We've got the bit of the echo back. I want to show you, before you get onto your bit, Brad, Yannick, because whenever I look at Yannick, I always think, like, my God, he's our central defender, and he's like literally further forward than sort of the halfway, the centre circle, and he's flashing it about there. But this is the heat map for Yannick, and I mean, if you sort of look at that, wow. I mean, and I put a few defenders up there. Nobody had put in, I know, taking my blue team defenders off, but nobody put in a shift like Yannick did. And obviously, there's more in our own half. He's a defender, of course there is. But again, that from a player that we had written off last season, that to me is amazing. And it was the best out of any, because I just thought, well, I'll see which defender's got the best heat map. And as it happened, it was Yannick Vestergaard. And that shows how much that when he's got the ball, yes, he stands on it. Yes, he keeps it in position, but also he does move about with it.
Yeah, he does. He does his role very well. He's supposed to be the calmer head in it. He's supposed to be the one that kind of looks in front, just sees it, and plays the better pass. I know people will say, well, he didn't play the right pass for the goal that Millwall scored, but 1 out of 100 passes does that. It's not always going to result in a goal. So, yeah, he does work hard. And again, this is what this allows you to see. It's maybe a bit hard to do when you just analyse the squad in its entirety, but it's necessary to see that it's not just certain individuals working hard, it's the whole squad working hard, which is what the previous graphic shows us. But yeah, and I can imagine, I know you're saying obviously Vestergaard is head and shoulders got a more of a heat map than others, but I could imagine that the rest are all pretty decent looking heat maps individually. Maybe not Hamadson. He's probably got one blocked and where he warmed his hands up, and that's what's caused the heat on his map, because he didn't have a lot to do. But the rest of it's still going to be there, and
it is. And what we're going to do each week is how we'll look at a different player, because I forget who did we look at last week? I can't remember.
I don't think we did an individual one.
We did. No, we did. I think it was Daka, because Daka would come back. So we'll look at different players each week. But have a very quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to hand you over to Brad, and you can look at him in full screen beauty. And we'll be having Brad's moment straight after this, folks.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Well, here we are, me and my, I would say beautiful face, but you poor sods have to look at it, so I'll let you make the decision. And we're going to talk about what Chris highlighted at the start of the show. It's something that I may or may not have had my personal rant about after the Sheffield Wednesday game. And that is Plan B has arrived, and just in time for Christmas. Enzo dressed up as Santa Claus and delivered something to us Leicester fans that we've been wanting to see for a long time, and that was a plan B, because whilst things can go well with Leicester playing the Enzo way, you do need to have a second Enzo way to do so, and we found it in the second half. What was that change? Was it just the aggression? Was it the dropping the slow build-up play and going all out aggressive? Well, a little bit, yes, but it was also for the first time it was a formational change that happened to the system, because as you saw by the starting lineup, we had three centre-back pairings in the midfield. So we actually played a 3-4-3. It was very strange, but it's how we wanted to do it. And what that did is it gave us an extra security behind a Millwall push, but it was very compact. If I try and keep this in the screen to give you an idea, Leicester's defence is usually well spread. It's usually from end to end. It's usually left to right, and it's spread out from across the backwards. But it was very compact with the three. We had Vestergaard, Cody, and Faze. And then they weren't stretching out too much, and that's where Leicester's lack of creativity kind of came from the first half, because certain players were restricted to doing what they're normally doing. Most notably, and I'll get onto him into a second, Ricardo Pereira and Steffi Mavididi was another one that kind of suffered from it, because Mavididi lost that link that he gets with JJ. JJ's a very confident left wing back that can drive forward with the ball and is happy to put the brakes on, if you will, and keep himself in our half just in case. But he's able to lay the ball off either to Dewsbury Hall, who's maybe made an advanced run, or he plays it in to Mavididi. And while Faze isn't comfortable at doing that, so to reassure it, Enzo switches to a three at the back. That isn't really the plan B. That's the cautious tactic. The plan B came at half time, and he kind of realised that whilst this wasn't causing us too much trouble at the back, we weren't going to get back into this game if we didn't step it up a gear. So what he did is he pushed the defence and stretched them. Now, he didn't change to a back four properly until he brought JJ on. So what he did is he played it very risk equals reward, and he changed us up to a 2 at the back, a 5 in midfield, and a 3 up front. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's too many. A 2 up front, essentially. It was a very weird system that he played, but what he essentially did is he weighed anchor in the second half. He put Faze back in his centre-back position instead of trying to get him to drift out to left-back and come back in centre-back, which he was doing first half. He had Faze and Vestergaard and Cody as centre-backs, but he freed Ricardo up. He put Ricardo into that middle and almost added Vestergaard into that, in a sense, to allow Cody and Faze, I nearly forgot his name then, to be more natural centre-backs. So they could stick at a wide left and wide right, I'll get my words out, easy for me to say, centre-back pairings, and allowed Vestergaard to almost be a central defensive midfielder, which meant that Leicester had Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, Ricardo, Fatawu and Mavididi going in an attacking sense alongside Winks in that middle as well. So Leicester went middle heavy. They packed the centre of the midfield with an extra body with Vestergaard. They added Ricardo to go back to his more natural inverted forward run. So he had the option to either overlap on the wing if the space was there, and he would get into the middle if the bodies were needed to push through the middle and exploit Millwall's gaps there. And that essentially meant that Leicester were playing with just two centre backs at the back, a centre defensive mid in front of them in Ndidi, and then in Winks, sorry, and Vestergaard, and then they had Dewsbury Hall, Ndidi, Ricardo in that middle with Fatu on the right and Mavididi on the left, and that left Iheanacho up on its home. It was the compact and compressed technique from Enzo, which is the plan B. I'm stuttering with my words, mate. I'm trying to think and say as it is, and it's happening to my tongue. Sorry, the words aren't coming out the way I'm trying to explain it. But they just compressed the middle. They compressed and compacted the middle, and in doing so with wide players available to them, they were able to expose any gaps out there as well with Mavididi and Fatawu. And that's what won Leicester the game. They were high line. They were, like I said, very compact in the middle, compressing Millwall, squeeze Millwall into an area where they weren't comfortable dealing with Leicester and being able to manage Leicester's high press and bodies forward. And that's just what worked wonders for Leicester. You look at the goals we scored. Yes, they were scrappy. Yes, they weren't the most clean hit of goals. But all goals had at least 4 Leicester players in the box. And one either side on the left and right side of the box, waiting for an overhit cross or the ball to come to them if they wanted it put into the box, which they did for the Ndidi crossing for Patson Daka's goal. So you saw how Leicester just sort of compress and squeeze Millwall into submission in a second half, which was completely dominated on an attacking front by Leicester by doing that. So as crazy as it sounds, that Leicester essentially played the second half with just 2 centre backs and nothing more, as you saw by the heat map. Leicester aren't careless at doing it. They didn't do a West Brom and throw everybody forward and overcommit and concede a last-minute equaliser or anything like that. They had the reassurance that players like Winks and Vestergaard would only go so far in the attack. It's why you didn't really hear much of Winks last night in the game. It's the reason why, in allowing that, Ricardo had so much more freedom, because 2 players were ready to cover him if the ball was lost. And it was sort of that mantra throughout the stages of the game. You know, if Leicester could get the ball from Faze to Winks or Vestergaard, then they could get the ball to Ricardo or Ndidi. And if they could get the ball to Ricardo or Ndidi, they could then get it to Fatu or Daka, or they could get it to Mavididi or Daka. And because the rolling actions of how Leicester changed their shape and the way they like to move the ball through the pitch, it really does help Leicester score these quick fire goals that we've been seeing. The way they've scored the goals against Plymouth and Millwall, yeah, okay, it's Plymouth and Millwall. I know, I can hear you saying that it depends on the opposition, but we have already seen it at times this season where it's worked. We scored very quick goals in a blitz form against Blackburn away. We did the same, most notably against Southampton at St Mary's. So we have done it on other occasions, and it has proved that when it works and Leicester are firing on all cylinders and we do turn over into attack mode, that we do see a different Leicester, not just in their aggression but in the way they shape up and go for it. And it just rolls superbly throughout the team. And you probably are seeing a manager, which gets huge credit here, the manager going, there's no I in team. I'm going to play a way that gets the best out of everybody I have available. That's the first and foremost. How can I get the best out of this squad? And how can I combine that with how I want them to play football? And from what I've seen in recent games, especially, that is what we have seen with Leicester. We finally have a plan B. We finally have a plan B in terms of our tempo. We have a plan B in terms of formation, and we now have a plan B in form of our tactics. He's brought all of them together to give us a complete plan B, and that is what won us the game last night, Chris, against Millwall. That is Brad's tactical analysis on the Leicester Millwall performance and the tale of two halves, if you will.
Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
I wasn't unmuted then. Thank you, Brad, for that. We'll be back at 7 tonight for the preview of the Birmingham game. Rooney versus Vardy. This time, no lawyers. So looking forward to that. Oh, as Brad would say, I've got to do that because he was taking my seat then. How very dare he. Brad, brilliant. Thank you very much. Want to just ask you, one thing that impressed me very much was the Fatawu Ndidi partnership. They seem to be really starting to understand each other down that right side.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Fatawu Ndidi is definitely a standout link up. I think the way he's got it is he also doesn't have a midfielder concentrate on doing too much. Something that a certain Bell End had James Maddison and that trying to do for us for about 3 seasons. But he has that responsibility, because I would say that the Ndidi and Fatawu link up is probably the best link up out there. But I would say that, have you noticed as well that Dewsbury Hall and Mavididi can link up quite well? So he's splitting that responsibility. He's not relying on just one of them to be able to pass it to both wingers. He's got Dewsbury Hall on the left and Ndidi on the right. And I will say there is a very good and strong partnership that him and Fatawu do seem to have. But it's whilst it's not as strong on the other side, it's definitely there with Dewsbury Hall and Mavididi. So it's good to see.
Yeah. So just going to look here. This is what Alan, who goes to the matches, he rates the players, and we discussed this in the post-match last night. So I'm just putting this up for information. Overall team performance, he gave the team a 7, which I think, well, I know Brad agreed with, and also Kate, who was at the match. We all went for different man of the matches. But Alan, again, he's there, so he sees everything completely different to us. Gave it to Patson Daka, and fair play to the guy to come in, score 2 goals in 2 games, and also get a man of the match off Alan. He has done well. What we're going to do now is, again, I'm going to be quiet. I know you say, how? Really? Could you? But yes, we can, because we're going to be rating the players. Well, I'm not going to be rating the players. Brad is going to be giving his ratings, and there's not a Jordan Blackwell in sight.
The Premier League? That's so last season. It's all about the Championship here on LTID TV.
Now that's what I call football.
You hit the right spot.
So here we go, Brad. I'm just going to let you go through it. I have a feeling the first one's going to get a high mark.
Yeah, Maresco doing things the Maresco way. Enzo ball in full flow. Showed us he's got something going on in that noggin of his, more than just passing percentage football. Was lovely to see. I don't think the result reflects the performance, because I think I think 3-1 was probably just about fair. But I did say to Enzo, Chris is going to get 3 points. He said, okay then. So they let a goal in late on. Yeah, that's how many goals we conceded, mate. I'm gonna give him a 9. I think it was another tactical he showed his tactical ability as a manager. So for me, he gets a 9. I forgot you're on mute and we're just doing this. I'm waiting for your Jordan rant, but it doesn't happen now. Madsen, not really a lot he could do about either goal. Maybe Millwall just showed that there is still a weakness at claiming corners. He doesn't seem the most confident or capable at doing it. Didn't have a lot to do. Because he didn't have a lot to do, I'm going to give him a 6, Chris. Didn't have a lot to do, which isn't a bad thing as a keeper, trust me. I mean, sometimes it's nice to not have a lot to do, but unfortunately, the 2 things that I remember him having to do was pick the ball out of the net and give it back to the Leicester players to start the game. So yeah, I can only give him a 6, really.
I will actually ask a question on this one. Was he at fault at all, do you think, for the second goal?
I think there needs to be something worked on from his ability to come and collect and command his box from corners, because he does it in open play brilliantly. And if it's a crossing from a wide position, he can do it. But when it's a set piece or a corner, there is a few question marks. I think he needs to work on something in the on the training ground, or find a way to better deal with it, because we have had a few decisions that could have cost us. Moving on to Wout Faes, who played in a back 3 and in a back 2, if you will, for the second half. That's definitely how I felt like it was. Anyway, a lot more comfortable in the second half. Still likes to get forward the ball. Always got a great recovery rate. Reads the ball well as well, mate. Some of the blocks he makes that he made last night and he's made throughout the season. It's just his football intelligence for knowing where the opposition want to put the ball, and he gets there and he gets his head on it. He's definitely saved a few goal scoring opportunities a lot this season. Was reliable again. Didn't do anything too note of wrong. I'm going to give him an 8. I can give him an 8 on that one. So I'm guessing next is your love child. We've already played the music enough. We don't want to break the button, so that's the last time I'll say that. But look, he made a pass that he'd made a handful of times, if not more, this season, and they'd all found their way to Ricardo or Winks or whoever was out there. The one time he doesn't get it right, and of course, sod's law, as a goalkeeper or a defender, you get punished. I know the goal didn't ultimately come from that, but it does put them on the front foot. Had a good game, redeemed himself, if you will, for that little error with a goal that proved vital in the end for Leicester. And I haven't done it for a few weeks, but I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to return to what I usually do. I'm going to match him up with his other centre back pairing, and I'm going to give him an 8. This one's finding it a bit difficult, isn't it? With the form of Vestergaard and Faes, he's not really broken back into the side like we all expected to. I know he came with us with a bit of an injury. Sod's law, his first ever injury as a footballer, and it comes the second he walks through Leicester's training ground doors. But for all the expectation of him coming in and kicking someone out of the team and then never seeing the light of day again because he's this awesome player, he hasn't been able to do that, and that shows the credit to the transformation in Vestergaard and the consistency of Vestergaard and Faes. Didn't do a lot wrong. Obviously, became the sacrificial lamb for Justin to come on. So it was good to see him get minutes. Good to see him get a decent performance. Definitely going to be vital during this Christmas period, having at least them 3 available for the centre back roles throughout the season as well. I can't give all 3 of them the same rating. He does only get a 7 from me because he did what he did right, but he came off fairly early in that second half for Justin, so didn't get to see a lot of him in that sense. So yeah, he gets a 7 from me. 7. Was up there as one of my contenders for man of the match. Got his goal. Did he? Didn't he? He'll take it, I'm sure. Especially if the goals panel doesn't turn it over. But as soon as he moved back into his natural role that he has under Enzo, he was a player transformed. Because he was quiet in that first half, but once the system allowed for him to go back into that inverted forward, add an extra body into the midfield, I think at one point, I can't remember if it was actually the Millwall game or the post-Plymouth game, he said Millwall went 5 in the middle, so I wanted to go 6. Just shows that if you do more maths, apparently it works. He proved it, because once he was in that middle, he was class. He really shone on his class. And I've got to give him an 8, and he was teetering on a 9 for me. But yeah, he was brilliant throughout the game. Dewsbury Hall, one of his quieter games, but it's good in a way. We shouldn't be so heavily reliant on him having to have his best game to play well. Probably a good sign as well, because 4 or 5 other players were being spoken about more than Dewsbury Hall, because he didn't have to carry the weight of the expectation in the middle. Sorry, Chris, I'm boring you. I'll get through it quicker.
I had 30 minutes sleep last night. So.
Oh, well, I'll let you off then.
You know how that feels, mate.
Oh, yeah, very true. But yeah, for me, didn't do anything wrong. Had a fairly solid game. Was outshone in a way by some very good performances. I'm going to give him a 7. 7. Again, one of the most consistent men on the pitch for Leicester. Because Fatu was a loan signing and not a permanent signing, I will agree he is the signing of the season for Leicester. Fatu would be up there in terms of signing if he was a permanent one, because he's done well. But reliable, gets around. Again, doesn't probably get praised or noted for what he does off the ball. Talking about that earlier, the off the ball work we see off the heat map running around shows that they do that when they're not involved. Again, another quiet game for him, which isn't, again, the worst thing. So if you can imagine where I'm going for it, Chris, it's the same as Dewsbury Hall. He gets a 7.
Okay.
I thought he was going to do that then. Wow, here we go. Struck fear into one of the Millwall defenders, twice forcing him to put it out for a corner. Played an absolute inch-perfect cross to set up Daka. Really stole the show from in midfield. In fact, he stole the show that much that he technically got a goal stolen off it, but I'm sure he's not bitter about it or letting Ricardo know that that's technically his goal. One of the most standout performances I've seen from Wilfred Ndidi in a long time. For that reason, in the end, he was head and shoulders above everybody else in the end for my Man of the Match award. You said that was probably Leicester's best second half display. I think that was Wilfred's best performance this season. Maybe in general on a Leicester shirt, I don't know. There might be some people that think his games in the Europa League and whatnot, probably he's had a performance in there. But in terms of this season, his best performance, I'm gonna give him a 10. I think he was flawless very much. I think he deserves a 10 for his.
I actually wrote a 9 down there. I wasn't sure you were going to go that high.
No, I think he deserves it. I think he's, we've been asking for this Ndidi to turn back up, and he deserves it. Stefan Ndidi, a man who's come back into the goal scoring form against Plymouth, getting some more goals and assists. Was told that he needs to keep them performances going, and he can be one of the best Premier League players according to his manager. Again, tried really hard, kept causing Millwall trouble, kept stretching the Millwall back line, opened up the space. Wasn't as involved as he has been in recent weeks in terms of goal threat. Fatu definitely offered more, but a fairly solid and pleasing performance. Having said that, what you're paying him to do, I don't remember him doing all too much of in terms of shots or potential getting assists. So I am going to give him a 7, Chris.
7.
It's my favourite number, apparently. Well, I'll say it once. I've said it once. I'll say it a million times, and I'll say it again. Don't fall in love with a lone player because they only break your heart. But I've got a really good feeling about this one. Already said he wants to come and play for Leicester. Now, obviously, when things are going good, you're always going to say that. I get it. You're trying to make an impression on the club, but he's impressing all around. He's impressing the fans. He's impressing the manager. I don't think he's missed a game since he got on a run in the team. I don't think so, unless injuries forced him to. I think he started most of his games that he's been involved in after he first arrived at the club. And he's proven such an asset to this team. Cuts inside, drags the defenders, makes runs in behind, gets Leicester on the front foot. Seems to know where everybody on that pitch is at any given second. The way he makes, the way he makes passes, his assist for, Daka's goal at the weekend, followed up by his performance in this midweek game, Chris. He just gets better and better for me. And this is why, indeed, he gets a 10, because he gets a 9 for me.
He was my man of the match, and he didn't score, but I still had to go for man of the match because he had the defenders in going all over the place trying to keep up with him.
I mean, how do you give a manager a striker's headache in 180 minutes of football? You score 2 goals and get an assist.
Yeah.
I think it was a question that was going to get asked at the end, or maybe you was going to ask me it. And apologies if I'm answering it for you in advance here. But 2 goals, 2 games, right place, right time. Seems to already be on that wavelength with Ndidi and Fatawu, and that especially. So it's showing that he's working so hard in training to be up to scratch when given the opportunity. And through whatever means he's been given the opportunity, Chris, he's earned the opportunity, and he's taken it with a plum. And for me, I wouldn't change him. I would not. We talked about it at the start. Okay, you'd imagine it's going to be Cody gets dropped for Justin to get back into starting lineup. But if you're asking me right now, Chris, who goes as the sole striker, Daka's got to be on it, mate. 2 goals and assist in 2 games. Could have maybe created more opportunities, but I feel like he's going to be a bit like Iheanacho and Vardy. They're not going to get too many clear-cut opportunities, given the amount of attacking force we have on this side. But he did what was asked of him. He backed up that weekend performance. That could have been a one-off. It wasn't. Deserves to make it 3 games in a row for me. He gets an 8.
Yeah. Now the question that I was going to ask, I actually asked earlier, which had come from Scott about whether we drop him or not. I think he's given Enzo a superb headache. Like I say, it's only 2 games, but well, he can't do more than he's done. Let's just see. Let's see if he's given the chance. Iheanacho, I've said many times, not scored in 6. Vardy, I don't think he scored in 5. The only striker that's scoring goals, or is the only striker that's playing, I guess. Let's see. I hope he's given the chance, and I hope he's not just dropped against Birmingham. Although I have a feeling we might see Vardy back, but if he's fit. But I kind of hope that Daka, he's going to be picked, because I'd hate for him to say, well, yeah, there we go, drop you, and thank you very much. Right, on to the substitutes. And James Justin, I'll unmute you. There we go.
James Justin came on and I think he helped out. I think we see that without a natural left back, of at least someone of James Justin's quality over on that side, it does disrupt our left-hand side link. And when he came on, okay, the game had already turned around in Leicester's favour by that point, but it was necessary. It was necessary to restructure. We didn't need to gun-ho because all of a sudden we were the team with the impetus. We were the team that winning the game. Millwall were going to come at us. And because we forced Millwall's hand, that in turn allowed us to play more direct and attacking football, which we did. And when Justin came on, Mavididi was more involved in the game. Yeah, FaZe was a little bit hesitant to pass to him because he probably thought if I mess up this pass, it's gonna get, Mavididi's going to get annoyed and I'm going to give the ball away. So, Mavididi, was probably very thrilled to see Justin come on because he gets forward and he plays the ball into him and he frees up space for Mavididi to go and create. So for a substitute appearance, I'm going to give him an 8, Chris, because I think it was actually a vital substitution and perfectly timed from Enzo to put it on just at that point when Leicester had the initiative and you get a bit of panic. Didn't do a lot. Now, should I be saying that? Should I be saying that with didn't do a lot Vestergaard, but hasn't been dropped since? Should I be saying that with hasn't played a lot of football, gone and scored 2 goals, got an assist, Daka? I'm going to hold fire. I'm not going to judge him too quickly. Yeah, see there. I'm not going to judge him too harshly on his 60 minutes collective football because we've said it about Iheanacho at times, we've said it about Vardy at the start of his career, and we're saying it now about Daka. You've got to allow some players to get minutes under the belt. You've got to give them a run in the team to get settled, and you're not going to do that with 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It's just not natural. Having said that, the only thing I remember him doing of note was having a shot that was blocked that then fell to Ricardo for him to score the third and what turned out to be vital third goal.
Off Ndidi, yeah, but we don't let Ndidi know that. But still, he hasn't yet had the real proper chance that he needs because what you could argue is, yes, Dak has been out in the cold, but he has had runs in this team and shown his capabilities. This is Tom Cannon's first showing to Leicester fans what he's capable of. Still undecisive, still need to see more of him. I think that comes from coming off the bench. I agree with certain points with Daka and Iheanacho, especially going. I think you're going to have to see more of Tom Cannon as well. So that's maybe where seeing what he's actually capable of doing is going to become more obvious to us Leicester fans. Off his 30-minute performance, I'm going to give him a 6. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And finally,
The Rock has come back to... No, it's wrong show, Brad. Wrong show. Dennis Pratt has come back from injury and has actually managed to do something that seems a miracle to him these days, which is come back fully fit and stay fit after 2 appearances. Saying that, no, Look, Enzo announced that he's injured for Monday's game, but it was pleasing to see. We're going to need this whole entire squad at this season. More obvious over this period for obvious reasons. We're going to need it. He's versatile, so he's very valuable to the squad at the moment. Good to see him get through some more minutes. Good to see him come out of it unscathed. Hopefully, over the next few games, we'll see more and more of him, and we'll see what he's able to offer and how creative he can be. Because we have seen that in the sporadic time we've seen him play, but again, didn't really do too much untoward that I remember from when he did come on. So he gets a 6.
He wasn't on overly long in fairness.
No.
There we go. That is it. Thank you very much, Brad, of this show. Tuesday, probably next week when we'll be doing it. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a non-loyalist win for Leicester City. But we will be back in 1 hour, 15 minutes. I'm going to have to go and rush because I've got to get ready so that I'm not eating today for the preview of that said game. And then after that, I've got a Birmingham one. I'm going back onto their channel. So Mike pops in just as we leave. Hello, Mike. How you doing, mate? welcome along. Brad, thank you so very much, mate.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. I like to discuss these shows in this sort of manner afterwards. I enjoy having a little tactical segment as well. It's all fun all around.
You both, you've had a tactical segment, then you know your week's been worth it.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
I may or may not see you tomorrow night for the prediction. So I've had 2 turned down, so I might be as open your dad breaks his leg or something. Don't tell him I said that. All the best, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
See you later. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, I could see if Mike wants to come. Mike, are you free tomorrow at 7? I need a co-host for the prediction show. If you are free, mate, let me know. But look, thanks to Brad, as always, knows what he's talking about with these tactics show. Like I said, I will see you back in 1 hour, 15 minutes exactly. Just about got time for a poo. And we'll be back. We'll be being joined by a Birmingham fan and, of course, Craig, who allegedly is a Leicester fan. I think that's what he told me once. It's been great. Thanks very much, guys. I will see you then. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.